Hey guys, welcome to the Doghouse Podcast. On this week's episode, we got Mad Dawg from Twitter and Instagram as we discuss not so great news, Trevor Etienne DUI charge, also getting the top quarterback prospect for the 2026 class, Jared Curtis, and the 2025 schedule release. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. And as I always say, thanks so much for the support and go Dogs. New guest on here. Been following him on Twitter with a lot of his graphics. Mad Dawg, Golden Shoe winner. How many times have you won the Golden Shoe on Dog Nation Daily? He's a celebrity. How are we doing today?
We're doing fine. I can tell you, I won the very first Golden Shoe on Dog Nation Daily when they first started it, and I can't even tell you how many I've won. I've kind of backed off of it for a little while because my wife is always joking with me because she's like, "Do you think people just hate that you always win it?" So I backed off of it for a little while. Plus, I like to do graphics for other things, not just Dog Nation Daily, but it is a lot of fun. I do enjoy it.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't realize who it was because I used to hear your name all the time. Mad Dawg with another Golden Shoe by Brandon Adams, and I get to meet the man here. So that's great.
Oh yeah, it's fine. I enjoy it, and I really appreciate you inviting me on here. It was very nice meeting you over Twitter and getting to know you.
Yeah, it's always great to meet a fellow diehard dog fan and got your own podcast. We'll get into that. So yeah, it's always great to meet somebody, Dog Nation, part of the family,
Oh yeah, absolutely, very much so.
Yeah, jumping right into it. Got not the best news, but Trevor Etienne DUI over the weekend. I think he got booked at 4 a.m. speeding. We can jump right into that. I think he got a good thing there, not the best thing, but wanted to get your thoughts on it. Also, I was reading that the report came out of what he was driving. We can go over that. Really nice Audi. But what's your thoughts on Trevor Etienne, transfer from Florida, getting the DUI? Not the best start for spring practice.
No, not really, but it's the off season, so anything that happens, they're going to jump on it. But
Right.
um, once again, somehow we seem to get in a little bit of trouble during the off season, I guess. It seemed like he had 4 misdemeanors. I think one of them was reckless driving, failure to maintain a lane. They actually cited him on tint window, having tint on his windows too.
Right.
And I think the charge was DUI. I can't remember what it was. DUI something. It was a misdemeanor. It was a DUI less safe or something like that.
Right.
And that usually means that you blew something on the breathalyzer, but you were under the limit, but it was just their discretion to take you in anyway. The truth is, we don't know what happened out there that morning. It could have been that the officer was, just wanting to take another UGA player in, or it could be ETN got a little attitude with him. We don't really know.
Right.
But I remember the press conference with Kirby today when he talked about it. He said that he's very upset. The kid made a mistake, and they're going to handle it internally because it's a misdemeanor. It's not like they're going to yank his license and make him go to driving courses or anything. So they've just got to figure out what they're going to do, and I'm sure Kirby will handle it in house like he handles everything else.
Right.
The main thing is everybody still wants him on the field. He needs to play.
Oh yeah. I thought Kirby talked really good. Hey, great kid, loves family. He didn't have the best judgment, make decision. We'll handle it internally, like you said. So, big question is, do you think they'll handle it internally, probably running to death with Scott St. Clair? And does he play? What everybody wants to know, does he play for the Clemson game in the opener? Do you think he plays?
Um, yeah, I think so. I think they'll do something. I think it'll be an example. I think Kirby wants to make an example out of maybe some of his punishment because he wants to show the other kids what'll happen if they get in trouble too.
Right.
You can't just slap him on the wrist because everybody's going to think that that's what's going to happen. He's got to have some form of punishment. And yeah, Scott Sinclair may make him run to bleachers till he throws up. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I mean, it's a possibility. Working out, probably cutting his curfew, making it make him come in a little earlier. I mean, he said the kids really beat up, upset about what happens, but that could be coach speak. That usually they get up there at the podium, they say whatever they think everybody wants to hear. It could be that Kirby had to calm him down for a different reason. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The only people that really know what's going on is Kirby and ETN. But I do know that he probably will. I would think he'd play in the Clemson game. They're probably going to want to debut him. I'm eager to see him during the spring game. I'm going to be in Athens during the spring game. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him. Very much looking forward to seeing a lot of players out there, but especially him because of all the hype. Because if you remember, he was the reason that Florida stayed in a lot of games that they were actually in last year, even though they didn't have a bowl winning season.
Right.
The wins that they had is because he was actually, doing things when he got the ball in his hand. So I'm eager to see what will happen with a better offensive line, better play calling, a better defense. That's the one thing that Kirby always says, and I've always valued about that. He always said he wanted to be able to run the ball even when you knew he was going to run the ball and still successfully do it. So I think with Trevor Etienne that he's going to be able to do that. So I think he will punish him. I think it'll be a completely internal thing, but yeah, I think he's too important to the game to, especially with his schedule.
Yeah.
I think he's way too important not to play.
Yeah. I think this, like you said, it happened early on. It's March. Maybe everybody will kind of slowly forget about it. Maybe we see him a little bit in the Clemson game, hopefully, because he's a leader in the running back room.
Yeah, most definitely.
Also, I did want to mention gray 2024 Audi for all those RS7, and it has, according to Dog Nation here, valued over 100,000. So probably a little NIL deal there.
He had a 2024 Audi. That was the car.
That's the car, and it was speeding 80. This is what's got here according to Dog Nation Daily. So yeah, valued at over 100,000. So NIL probably,
yeah,
or at least NIL.
That's not a bad car either. That's a nice car.
There it is. And speaking of the lousy, stinking Gators, like Brandon likes to put you on the spot here. Probably everybody knows. Does Sunbelt Billy Napier, as I call him, does he make it another year, or is he dead man walking? I think he makes it this year.
There's an over under that I've seen that whether he even makes it through the season or not, and it's all going to depend. Their schedule is absolutely brutal.
It is.
It is terrible, and it is not the season for people like ETN and other transfers to get out of there and knowing they got to go through that kind of a gauntlet. And his job's on the line. His seat is not only hot; it's on fire right now. So. I really think no. I don't think he makes it. Yeah, it'll surprise me if he makes it through the season, but I would be willing to bet that they'll be looking for a new head coach by the end of the season.
Completely agree. When they make the hot seat list in the offseason, I'm sure he's at number one. Smoking hot, like you said. Can't wait though. Couldn't happen to a better program, right?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. You almost feel sorry for the Florida fans until they open their mouths, and then you don't feel sorry for them anymore.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, for all the Florida fans, they can drink their sorrows away when they're going 5-7, 4-8. We got Viva Tequila Seltzer, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 88 calories. Got watermelon, elderberry, huckleberry, grapefruit. Great on the golf course. Got Masters coming up. You can order it with my discount code Doghouse20 for 20% off. Doghouse20. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Check them out on the internet or on their website and also on their IG. And maybe don't let Trevor Etienne touch any of these, by the way. Sorry. It's a little bad joke there. But anyway, Doghouse 20.
I doubt he was drinking these things, but I'm interested to know what that huckleberry flavor's like.
It is. It's very, very tasty. Maybe I can send you some. You have to send me the address. We'll send you like a little multi-pack.
Absolutely. We'll check it out and see how it is.
For sure. Also, another one over the weekend, really great news. Got Jared Curtis, number 1 overall quarterback, I believe number 1 overall recruit as of right now, 2026 class, 6'4", 225. Also beat him out over Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, and Oklahoma. Want to get your thoughts on this. I watched a little bit of film on him. Also, another thing with NIL and the way everything is, this is way down the road. I mean, like they said, you got to go up under a lot of water under the bridges and everything. This is just, man, you're just getting in the boat right here with this kid. Anything could happen for 2026, but still great for Mike Bobo in Georgia getting this kid. What's your thoughts on him? Jared Curtis?
Yeah, I think everybody's always focused on whether we're going to flip Juju Lewis or not from USC, but I think sometimes the best way to show that you don't need somebody is just to or move on. So Kirby evidently he waits for no one. So when this kid come on campus, I guess he liked what he saw and he committed on the spot. You're right. That's a long way off, and anything could happen. I mean, think about the decommits, and then they'll say, "Oh, this kid decommitted. He was committed for a long time." It doesn't matter. To me, Kirby will get the quarterback room exactly the way he wants it. Now, right now, he's got 3 scholarship players on. He's got Beck, he's got Gunnar Stockton, and he's got Brian Puglisi, which I know you probably have troubles pronouncing that name. You always
That was
talked
good though.
about that.
You did good on there.
Yeah, I know. It's because I've said it enough because I'm a big fan of this kid. I think he's going to be something. But see, Kirby usually likes 4 quarterbacks, so it wouldn't surprise me at the end of this spring when the transfer portal opens up that he gets another quarterback in there somehow, just to, it doesn't have to be anybody that's going to threaten anyone or push anyone out, but he wants 4 quarterbacks in that room. And it would not surprise me at all if he made a move to get that. But as far as this kid, I watched highlight film on him too. But Kirby's always like, you're always getting like either commits or coaches that out of nowhere, you have to Google them and go, who the hell is this guy? Like, you don't know who it is. You always have to check it out. So when this guy came on, and he said he committed to Georgia, I immediately pulled up highlight film on him, checked everything out. I like his pocket presence. I like the way he scrambles in the pocket. I think he evades whenever the pocket collapses, how he runs on the outside, passes the ball. He still has like a lot of awareness, throws the ball on the run. I mean, I think he could really be great at the University of Georgia if the commit stays. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. It's a long ways. I mean, it's a long ways to get somebody from 2025, let alone 2026.
Exactly.
It would really shock me if he stayed. Not that I think that we're just going to lose him, but it's just the nature of the beast with NIL. I mean, what are you going to do when you're that young and somebody throws like, "Hey, we'll give you $2 million to come throw the football at our school"? I mean, when you're that young, it doesn't matter how much you love the program. You're going to go sometimes where the money is.
Right. Completely agree. I know it's going to be long down the road. Still good for Georgia. Also, I did watch some of them. He looked like Carson Beck to me a little bit with the release. 6'4", quick release, could run around a little bit. I will say the little negative that I heard is almost similar to Arch Manning, where he's playing on this private school level. I think they maybe even played Prince Avenue and got blown out. He kind of struggled against them. So my only thing is what kind of competition. Still, it looks great on film. They say it in person, but he's playing lesser competition, kind of similar to Arch Manning. That was the only maybe negative that I heard. But
Yeah,
still 2 more
well,
years.
that's going to happen. I mean, if he does come to Georgia, I mean, Mike Bobo, and then we'll have plenty of time. He probably won't play right away. It's very rare that I've ever seen Kirby start a redshirt quarterback. So
sure.
give him a couple of years in the system, or maybe a year in the system. See how it goes. Let him get behind Brian Puglisi. See how that goes. I think Brian Puglisi, I'm telling you, I think he is going to be outstanding. I do. I think he's going to catch up on things. I mean, he came from like a military school, so he's got that mentality, and he never ever wavered in his commitment. He stayed 100% true to Georgia, and I think that says a lot about his integrity, what kind of kid he is. And I'm very, very excited to see what Brian Puglisi is going to do. It wouldn't surprise me if he got that number 2 spot behind Carson Beck this year.
Completely agree. And I just want us to be able to say, Dylan Rawley, who? You're over there in Nebraska going whatever he has, 6-6, 7-5.
Yeah, the Cornhuskers. Well, there again. I mean, they got stupid NIL money in Nebraska. I don't know. I guess they sell a lot of corn. I have no idea why, but they do. They do have a lot. I mean, I buy a lot of corn, so maybe that's why they got so much NIL money. But I don't know.
That is. Yeah, I'm excited about him too. I heard he's got a laser. He's not one of these touch guys. Got a rope. Kind of reminds you maybe like a Jacob Easton or Stafford back in the day. So we'll see. I'm excited.
Well,
Kid's not scared of competition.
With quarterbacks though, it's all about the chemistry you have with a wide receiver. If you can fit it through a tight window and he knows it's coming, and you were able to get it in there, then he knows it's coming and doesn't surprise him. Yeah. That's the thing. Speaking of wide receivers, I got something I want to bring up if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Cola Young, the guy for the transfer from Miami.
Right.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about what he's doing in practice right now.
Oh, yeah.
He looks phenomenal. He's tall, and if Beck gets any kind of chemistry with him, I mean, I think he could be something really special. I mean, because Brock Bowers is gone, you're not going to replace that. Yeah. You're just not going to do it. You know, what's his name? I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Um,
Lab McConkey?
McConkey, that's right,
Yeah.
McConkey. I had a couple other things written down here. Yeah, Lad
Mhm.
McConkey's gone, so we're going to need somebody like that. You're going to have to lean on when you're if you're Mike Bobo, you're going to have to lean on, the talent of the players that you have, and once you realize what they can do, I think
Right.
it takes a good offensive coordinator. Once you realize the talent you have around you, that to draw up the plays that will highlight their talent and get them in positions to score. I'm a very offensive minded person anyway. When I learned about football, I learned it from an offensive minded coach.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think that way. I don't think defensively. I've always loved how to scheme and get into the end zone and try to outwit the opponent. And I am all about trying to figure out, what pieces do you have? You lost some pieces. What pieces do you have, and what are you going to be able to do to get into the end zone and get yourself to score? And Trevor Etienne should take a lot of pressure off of Carson Beck if he lives up to the hype.
He
He really
does.
should.
We got some young running backs coming up too in the class. Hopefully we get Branson Robinson back. I think we're going to be young, but inexperienced, but a lot of depth in the running back room.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And then also, I know it was last week, but the 2025 Georgia schedule, even though I know that's far off, was announced. Not really sure on all the dates yet, but the positive is it's going to be a good home slate for all the Georgia fans. I'll let you give your thoughts on it. But yeah, for the 2025 release.
2025 release, to me, the only difference is that we open with UCLA instead of Clemson. It's really almost a carbon copy of the schedule itself. It just, everybody we play away this year, we play at home next year.
That's
I
right.
mean, I don't know what the deal is about Ole Miss, but with the 2025 schedule, this will be the third year we play them in a row. And that usually I can't remember the last time we played Ole Miss that much. And now that there are no, conference, no East, no West,
Right.
I mean, it seems like they want to they realize we didn't play a lot of West opponents, so they want to add a bunch of them in there. I think Mississippi State, for some reason, we're playing the whole state of Mississippi. We're playing Mississippi State and Ole Miss
That's right.
in the conference. But the thing that I don't see on the schedule so far is LSU. We haven't seen LSU in the regular season yet. I mean, you have to see them. The weird thing is now that there are no divisions, you could have like LSU and Ole Miss in the SEC championship, which would have never happened before.
Right.
It'll just be, you could have Georgia and Florida, and that's not going to happen this year. But you
Yeah.
could have, you could have, Georgia and South Carolina in the SEC championship, which would have been completely unheard of because it was always East versus West. Now that's gone. So
Oh yeah.
now it's just a matter of, and I don't know exactly how they're going to do it. With the two best teams, or the best records, are going to be able to make it to go to the SEC championship. Which, if they keep going I mean, it's talk now that they're going from 12-team playoff to a 16, 14-team playoff or
Right.
whatever. I
14.
mean, they're already talking about that. I
Right.
mean, I really don't know what they're going to do with conference, championship games anymore. I don't know if that's even going to be relevant anymore. I know it's still a moneymaker, but
Yeah.
what are you really doing if you're trying to make the playoffs? What is that conference championship even going to mean?
Yeah.
Because the main goal at that point will be to make the playoffs to get to the Natty.
That's right.
That was the whole goal of what you want to do.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with, I mean, the conference championships are great. Don't get me wrong, but they're starting to become irrelevant with the way they keep, spreading out the playoffs.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to have to do away with them or if they're going to have to make them a part of the playoffs. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see what they do with them.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question for you. So I know it's instead of it's not a sprint anymore; it's a marathon. So they're even looking at you might possibly play 15 to 16 games, and it's a brutal schedule, and you're going to get beat up and got to have a lot of depth. So if let's just say if we go 11-1, 10-2, if there's some way we miss the SEC championship game, but you're still going to get in the playoffs and going to rest your legs a little bit, would you want that? Because you want the goal is to win, go make the playoffs, win the national title. It's almost like if it's doesn't mean as much by going to the SEC championship game because of the playoffs. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you can ask Alabama fans in 2017 if they cared about missing the entire SEC championship and winning the Natty because
That's
it
right.
didn't matter to them.
Yeah.
The whole goal is to hold up that trophy, with your coach and kiss it at the end of the year. That's all you want. You want
Right.
that golden trophy, and you want to be able, you want the bragging rights for another year to say that we are national champions.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we were bitten by the injury bug this year. Now think about this: had the playoff not just been 4 games this past year, you really think Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey would have been out there? There's no way, because you could tell they played the SEC championship. They were hurt, but Kirby put them in because he still wanted to win.
Right.
Now, look what happened after a month off, a month of rest, and then they go and completely annihilate Florida State. Now, I know Florida State had a lot of opt-outs, and be that as it may, but you could tell that team was 100% healthy.
Right.
And they were bitten by the injury bug, and that's part of football. I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying, I'm not going to cry about the fact that we had injuries, but we were bitten by the injury bug more this year than we have in previous years. Now, when that happens, you think about it as a marathon. When that happens, and you realize you're getting toward the end, and you're thinking, I'm going to need this player in the playoffs, take him out. Don't push that kid, and don't aggravate that injury. If you're really going to need him, try your best to get experience with other players, and then take your time off, and then let it all go in the playoffs. That's exactly what you need to do. It has nothing to do with, if you got somebody injured now, in the past, you're always like, I got to win. I've got to push him. We've got to win. Can you play? Can you play? Can you at least give me a quarter? Can you do anything? And now you're just like, no, you need to rest. We're going to make the playoffs. So we'll go from there. Once we get to the playoffs, then we'll turn everything on.
Oh, yeah. Completely agree. It should be really interesting, but I like it. If it's always great to win the SEC championship game, but it's a marathon. So if we missed it and had a good seeding for the playoffs, so we'll see.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt that I got as a gift from a birthday present at the SEC championship game when we beat LSU. Everybody looked and said, "Where's your national championship T-shirt?" They didn't even care that I was wearing that. Like
Yeah.
that's how much it means. Now they just want to know, get the Natty T-shirt. Don't worry about that game.
Right. Completely agree. And then real quick, any breakout players that you read about I think they're in is it second or third week of spring practice currently? I know you mentioned Colby Young. Anybody else standing out that you've heard of or spring
There's
practice?
I think a wide receiver's last name's Evans.
Yeah, Anthony Evans.
Anthony Evans. Now there's a lot of players that are high on him. He's been in the system, but he's starting to come out.
Right.
And I would very much like to see him step up in the wide receiver. Everybody I think that's going to be any good to me is either wide receiver. I'd like to see Lawson Lucky. I heard he's doing phenomenal at the tight end position. Tight end position is my favorite position because it's such a mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
You can block. You got to be a big guy. You got to block. You got to catch. It's such a crazy mismatch. You can do end arounds like they did with Brock Bowers, but the center, actually, the center now, Kirby was talking about how he can run like 18 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's insane. Why do you need a center to run that fast?
Jared
But
Wilson.
yeah, you get him to run that fast.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. And a lot of people don't realize how important the center is to an offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who could call, like the quarterback's always up. He's always looking around. He's always checking to see where certain players are on the defense. The center's got to call some plays too. He's got to know what's going on too.
That's
So
right.
it's very important to have a highly intelligent center and especially I don't know if it's important to have one to run as fast as he's running, but Kirby seems to be real high on him. He can't wait to see him, and I can't wait to see him either. I'm going to see how he does. This spring games mean absolutely nothing, because they don't show a lot. Like they're going to open their playbook and let everybody see because it's just on TV and anybody can come in there. But still, it still is nice to see a couple of flash players. A few players just kind of flash and go out there and see what they're all about. That's why I go every year. I just enjoy being in Athens. So it's always fun to go.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait. It's gonna be a great time. April 13th, 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus and ESPN Plus 2, I think, SEC Plus.
Yes.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on today, Mad Dawg. And then how do we follow you on social media?
You can follow me at Mad Dawg 19 on Twitter. You can find my podcast. It's called Another Doggone Podcast. It's on Spotify. You can follow me on Instagram at Mad Dawg 1972.
I love that Gurr Monday, and then this with Trevor Etienne. I was laughing at that on Instagram. It's great.
It's just that's the Athens Clark County is the one opponent that it doesn't seem that Georgia can beat. So It is what it is. Yeah, I always try to stay pretty active on social media. I love making graphics. It's always a lot of fun. So yeah, just follow me on Twitter, follow me, follow my podcast on Instagram. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely check him out on Instagram and Twitter. Also, real quick, how did you get your name for your podcast? Because everybody has a podcast these days. What was your story on how you got your podcast name?
Well, podcasts to me are like, racehorses. You know what I mean? Like they always have those weird names.
Yeah.
Racehorses always have strange names. I don't know why they name them what they do. So
Right.
when I was pushed to by somebody to get a podcast, they kept asking me to get one. I said, there's 1,000 of them out there. How's it gonna stand out? What is it gonna be? I said, it's gonna be another sports podcast. And then they were like, so what? Just do it. I said, you know what? I should just put that in the name. It's called Another Doggone Podcast. And that's how I introduce it. I always introduce it. You're listening to Another Doggone Podcast. And even though it sounds like something you're saying, that's actually the name of the podcast, and it actually works. A lot of people like it.
I like it. That's awesome. That's a great name. Very clever.
All right.
Make
Well, I
sure,
appreciate it.
yeah, make sure and check out another doggone podcast. It was a pleasure having Mad Dawg on. Maybe you'll see him again and see his great graphics on Dog Nation Daily. Win another golden shoe.
Absolutely.
Good deal. Really appreciate you coming on. If you're still around, make sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Support it. That really helps us out. And it was a pleasure, Mad Dawg.
Thank you for having me on, man.
You too. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.